did with her?
I have her number. I called her about 2 weeks ago. I could call her back. I just don't want to intrude. I don't know, like a balance because she called because she needs help. But do I then take a chance to call her back and check in? Like I don't know. I'm not sure where that line is.
Sure. Yeah, it's always hard with new people and boundaries, and
Right.
that is so sad. Like I just put myself in her shoes for a second, and just becoming very thankful that my husband still has his job, and we're still able to do some, well, we both teach voice lessons, so we're both still able to do some virtual voice, and um that's really, really hard. And especially when you
Yeah.
have kids, like I just couldn't imagine taking my son to go live in a car
Right.
somewhere.
Exactly. Well, praise report. I have one.
Yes,
Um,
there.
I remember that I talked to you about how a girl I work with was going through IVF, and we had been like I felt like God had asked me to pray for her at my work, which
Oh,
was so,
wow.
and she has lost some embryos. She was pregnant, and then she lost that baby after like 7 weeks of being pregnant, things like that. And really discouraged. Like they've been doing this for a couple of years, and it's been very hard for her and on her body, and I'm sure on their marriage. And all the time I check in with her, like, how are you? How can I be praying for you? When's your next appointment? Like, all the time check in with her. And I, she posted a picture and said happy due date, and it was her embryos that she had lost. And she was like, today would have been the due date. And I just wrote her a message and I said, like, I want you to know that I'm here and I'm praying for you. And I hope that today you can find joy, that you can just find joy and celebrate, that life. And later in the day, she posted that she's pregnant.
Wow.
Like God used that day for a different reason. And she was able to share, and she's due in September. And she posted a picture of the baby, and I just think that's cool that she chose to say, on this day I'm going to celebrate my child that I lost by telling the world that we are, having a child. And I just think
Wow.
it's really cool.
So how far along would that be? If she's due in September,
I think she's like 16 weeks.
so past her first trimester, which is always
Right.
the scariest one. Well,
Right.
that's amazing. That is so cool.
And they've been praying for this baby for a long, long time,
Yeah.
so it's cool to see how God works.
Yeah, absolutely. She's just having the one?
Yeah.
Okay. IVF?
Hmm.
Okay. Because usually they have twins,
Yeah, this has been
my,
very very, very difficult for them.
wow. Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah.
But it's cool.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Um, so last night at our small group meeting, we were talking just about some scripture, and my husband mentioned, I think it was Psalm 46. And
Yep.
that was funny because that was something that you were kind of speaking over yourself.
Yes. Still am.
What did
Um,
that verse
I
say?
so the Psalm 46. Ironically, I have that a verse from there tattooed on my ankle,
Awesome.
and I cling to this verse a lot because there's so much truth that you can declare when you read it. And I was just talking about this with my worship circle friends because one of the leaders, I'm not sure who, brought up this psalm, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's so funny. I love that psalm so much. And they brought it up. This is weeks ago at my very last session for that semester. And last night, I've been reading this like every single day. And last night, Steve's like, we're going to read Psalm 46. I'm like, of course we are.
Hot diggity dang. Of course we are.
The verse that I have tattooed on me is Psalm 46:5. God is within her. She will not fail. He will help her at the break of day. And we were talking about, just last night, we were talking about like what we feel that that means. And I think for me, we I cling to the fact that God lives in me and that there's hope and there's a peace and there's a calmness that comes from him. But the girl that I am and the flesh side of me holds on to the anxiety and the stress and the control, but I know that God's there and that he'll help me at any time. And so I always hold on to that verse that he lives in me, and therefore he is there to help and help us overcome things like this, But I've also been reading another verse a lot, and it is 2 Corinthians 4:14. Is it 4:14? Yeah, 4:14. For we know that the one who raised the Lord Jesus will also raise us with Jesus and present us with you. Indeed, everything is for your benefit, so that as grace extends through more and more people, it may cause thanksgiving to increase to the glory of God. Therefore, we do not give up. Even though our outer person is being destroyed, our inner person is being renewed day by day. For our momentary light affliction is producing for us an absolutely incomparable eternal weight of glory. So we do not focus on what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, what is unseen is eternal.
That's a great verse.
And, right now, everybody is focusing on this.
Yes.
But God is doing something cool that we can't see and that we don't know. And so we need to focus and just trust that.
It's funny. I'm sitting in my car and just talking to the Lord about it all, and not talking to him really long, but all I could hear was him saying that it was going to be all right. And then either later that day or the next day, I can't remember, but Steve was talking to the Lord about it, and he's like, yeah, Des, he's just telling me that everything's going to be all right. So it was like the same verbiage, which I thought was really neat. And I've just been able to, like I said, distract my mind from everything that's going around me. And I've always been able to do that. Like when things are going crazy around me, I've always been able to just kind of remove myself from it all, because I think it's maybe just a coping mechanism. And I don't think about it, and I kind of live in my own world, which is a good and bad thing sometimes. But I've been able to focus more on building my marriage, and I'm going through a Bible study called, I think I told you before, I do these coffee cup Bible study things by Sandra Glahn, and she has the Solomon Latte one, and we go through Song of Songs, and it's all about, being married, and just, I don't want to get into too much detail because that's a little, inappropriate for Bible story right now. But that's really where my focus has been, and it's really been helping me just to not think about everything else that's going on. So that's where I'm at right now. And it's been really helpful. And there's a lot of things that I have to work through. And we all have stuff from our past that we take into our marriage, and expectations that we put on our spouses, and disappointments that we have in them. And so that's just really been where my prayer in my heart has been, to build my marriage up. Marriage is hard.
It is. It's hard, especially right now, like close quarters.
Oh, yeah.
Do your own things and then come back. It's just everybody all the time, constant.
Yeah.
At one point, like a week ago, Brock was like, I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. Every time something, I'd like ask him a question about it, or I'd be like, why are you doing that? Or why are you saying that? He's like, I'm just not going to talk to you anymore.
That's funny. Speaking of memes, going back to the memes, there was one about spouses, and there's like two, I don't know what kind of dogs they were. I don't know if you saw it, but one dog was on the bed and one was on the floor, and they would be just sleeping, and then all of a sudden start bickering at each other. And then they would go back to their corners and start barking at each other. And someone posted something like, this isn't what all the spouses are doing right now. And it was so true, because you're sitting there minding your own business.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden one person gets mad at something, you start fighting. And then you go back to your quarters and start fighting. And it's funny and it's not funny at the same time.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
What were some of the things you did for Easter?
Oh, that's a great question. We had a really nice Easter, actually. My mom gifted us with, she bought all of us dinner, and all of us meaning my sisters and their spouses. So she said, take my credit card, go get some dinner. So we're like, yeah, of course. So we went to our favorite restaurant. We did take out, obviously. And then we went to the park for our son Tristan. We went to a private park at a church that nobody goes to, and we're still allowed to go to. So it was nice to get out and have him run around and get his energy out. Um, and what else did we do? Then we just went back home and we ate a lot, and like we've been doing. I think maybe we watched a movie, but it was like really sweet too because we could celebrate as a family still. I mean, even though we didn't have our extended family, it was nice for us three to come together and have a nice meal. What about you guys?
Um, we I did some cooking amazingly, I know, but I was just like, we
Nice.
have to have some sort of like real Easter meal because I was struggling with the fact that the first Easter that I actually holiday that I wouldn't be with my family.
Yeah, it's tough.
That was very difficult. And I was trying to focus on the positive and do the best I could. It was difficult. It was weird. I've never not been to church and participated on an Easter Sunday. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I think it's the first time in history that services didn't take place. And, so got up and watched the services and started making some things. I made a pineapple stuffing, gluten free. I made like honey glazed carrots and a spinach dish. And that's the day I made the lemon cookies as well.
Nice.
And we as a family got dressed and we set up a table. We had, we got a table out and we had a computer at one end and we zoomed our dinner with my parents.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
we were all together for dinner. And I actually had the idea of us doing communion as a family. So I texted my parents and I was like, I think we should do communion today. I think it would be really great. And my mom's like, okay, you lead. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. So it was nice though. I was able to, before we started eating, I was able to lead us in communion, and my dad, for our meal, and we were still all together through Zoom. But it was nice, but it was weird.
Of
But
course.
at least we were together. It was bizarre,
Yeah.
but yeah, we made it. And even this morning, my mom texted me and she's like, "I missed you guys so much," and she wrote um, she asked me a question like about us, what are we up to, and she said, I think if this is going to be forever, then we'll all have to live together.
We all be quarantined together.
Yeah,
Why not?
I said I agree because it's weird, like it's just weird not seeing Nava and my grandmom and everything like that. I've done some walking since I have been in quarantine.
Oh yeah.
Our walks, I did one walk that was 7.5 miles,
Wow.
um, to do a social distancing visit with my friend Doreen,
Oh yeah.
and I did not walk alone. I walked with my friend Amanda. Social distance walked as well, and we've walked to my parents like 3 or 4 times just to visit, and we have seen my grandmom through the door and said hello. And the first time I saw her, she said, "It's so nice to see someone's face." But yeah, I mean, it's been interesting, and those are, I think, the habit that I want to take is slow down. Definitely take time to walk because we can always do that. I actually put the walking on pause because you have to wear a mask now when you walk, and anxiety wise, I cannot do a walk like that wearing a mask. Like, there's just no way I can breathe that way. I had to go to Target the other night to pick up an order, and I had to wear a mask, and it was like for not that long, and I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die in here.
Yeah.
Definitely want to do the walking. I definitely want to do a little bit more of like being still, and I want to continue working on music because even though last week I felt really defeated, I really think that I still believe that God's call for my life is to make music and to lead worship. And so even when I get discouraged, like last week I really got discouraged and I was like, I'm not even going to finish this song. Like I felt like there was no way that it would be good enough to do anything with. Like, that's just the enemy working, of course, in like that little tiny hole that I have of self-doubt and just magnifying it.
I mean, the song that you wrote.